The Nonprofit Business, Start an NGO. Chapter 1. Nonprofit Corporation. Start a nonprofit corporation. 1. Nonprofits exist to either help people or to promote and preserve something for its own sake without seeking a profit. They take in money in 2 ways. 1. Donations from people. 2. They set up nonprofit businesses or events to raise money, sometimes called fundraising. Nonprofit status means that the company cannot disperse its profit as bonuses among its employees. They can make money, pay regular salaries to their employees, advertise and reinvest their profits by putting them back into the corporation. By setting up a nonprofit organization, you can accept donations of equipment from businesses and individuals who want to help the community, and they get the benefit of obtaining tax write-offs for their old equipment. The structure of nonprofit organizations is narrowly defined according by the Internal Revenue Service, and the qualifying groups usually divide up into educational, religious, artistic, or social service organizations. A nonprofit organization exhibits certain characteristics. It is incorporated and set up to achieve public goals. It is exempt from federal taxes under IRS Code Section 501, c. 3. It is also at least partially exempt from state, county, and city taxes. Nonprofit organizations are not set up for the financial gain of individuals. A nonprofit organization's purpose focuses on public service rather than profit. Nonprofit organizations provide services beyond those supplied by agencies of the United States government, and they occupy a spot somewhere between the private and public sectors. To set up a nonprofit organization, you should write for the Internal Revenue Service guide called How to Apply for and Retain Tax-Exempt Status for Your Organization, Internal Revenue Service Publication 557. In addition, you will want Form 1023 and the instructions for organizations that can qualify under Section 501, c. 3, of the IRS Code, and Form 1024, which covers other exempt entities. State and local laws and ordinances may affect your quest for nonprofit status. Unless you have previously been through the IRS application process for nonprofit status, you will probably require the services of an attorney. If you qualify for nonprofit status, you may be able to get the attorney's services pro bono. irs.gov/charities-non-profits. Start a nonprofit corporation. 2. Nonprofit corporations are generally organizations that operate with a motivation of charity or education, not profit. Legally, a nonprofit enterprise spans the spectrum from organizations who offer free services out of the goodness in their hearts to companies which help people somehow but still charge for their services. Nonprofits can offer products and services for sale to their members and to the public at large in order to finance their benevolent acts. There are 3 ways a nonprofit corporation can be set up as: association. An informal group of people get together and set up a group or club for a common purpose, such as a tennis club, neighborhood watch, or a social club. These groups are generally unincorporated because they're small, social gatherings, but if they get big and start generating income from memberships or want to solicit the public for donations, they should incorporate for all the legal advantages it provides. Trust. Some nonprofit corporations are set up as trusts, but the trustees often have no legal protections from liability. In fact, trustees may have a greater liability because they are held to a higher fiduciary standard. The corporation is the most common form for a nonprofit organization because it has the most advantages. As a corporation, the director's personal assets are not liable to the corporation's debts or lawsuits as long as they're conducting normal business without fraudulent intent. Nonprofits are supposed to have an altruistic purpose and use the bulk of the money they make to help people, perpetuate their organizations, and compensate themselves for their time and expenses. They can provide some charitable and some commercial activities on a tax-exempt status, meaning they don't pay taxes to the federal government if they fit into the parameters defined by the IRS. The Internal Revenue Code exempts the earnings of nonprofit corporations from income taxes. If the principal focus of your business is serving the community, talk to a tax attorney knowledgeable about Section 501(c) of the tax code to see whether you might benefit by doing business through a tax-exempt, Non-profit organization. Some non-profit organizations are the Girl Scouts who sell cookies big time, the Salvation Army and Goodwill Corp who both operate thrift stores which sell donated goods, the Sierra Club, an outdoor mature group who sell books and calendars, PBS TV who sell many items in a mail-order catalog, and the list of non-profits goes on. Any altruistic, non-profit motivated mission to do something worthwhile for the world, all the way from left-wing ecology groups to religiously run homeless shelters. You have to follow both state and federal tax rules. Non-profits are allowed to produce income-generating activities to earn money to make themselves stronger and better, buy buildings, expand, etc., to further promote their cause. They're allowed to have paid employees and take out money for expenses like the operation of an office, car, travel, etc. There are no guarantees you will make it just because you're a non-profit organization, but on the other hand, the fact that you're a non-profit corporation could help you in the marketing and sales of your products. Try to sell something related to your organizational goal and treat the customers right too, meaning don't be stingy and cheap and expect that they will understand because you're supposedly a charitable business. The business of a non-profit is to raise money and use it to work on its stated purpose. Money comes in several ways. Public donations through charitable solicitations and fundraising. Selling things related to its purpose. Applying for grants. Try to raise money as far in advance as possible. Start small, learn as you go along, keep it a hands-on business as much as possible. You have to be so good that customers want to buy specifically from you, not just because you're closest to where they live, but because they like you and you're the best at what you do. Assume the customer wants a long-term relationship, so treat them with great customer service. Don't grow so fast that your workers can't keep up. Keep it slow and steady. Get your employees to tell you how to improve the business. There is a members vs. non-members option. If you choose to accept members, will there be different classes of members like voting and non-voting members? The big disadvantage of allowing membership is that they each have some control in the company, and if they get large enough, could conceivably take over and even boot the founders out. The easiest way to maintain control of a non-profit corporation is to set it up as a non-membership organization but offer supporters and contributors a nominal, meaningless type of membership with an impressive sounding name like honorary member, associate, benefactor, contributor, supporter, friend of, the corp. Name, etc. In the end, your business is your unique creation. Don't listen to anyone too much. You have all the wisdom within to do it your way and be successful at it. Work hard, help people. Make them feel good any way you can. Start a non-profit corporation. 3. You need a real need that needs to be fulfilled. You need a well-developed plan for getting money and helpers to do what you want to help the world. Apply to the IRS for an employer identification number, EIN, even if you don't plan to have employees. You need the EIN to apply to the IRS for tax-exempt status. irs.gov/businesses/small/article/0,97860,00.html. Incorporate your business at the state level as a nonprofit. It doesn't have to be your home state. Many businesses incorporate in Delaware because it's easy and cheap. You have to do this before you can file for federal tax-exempt status. This is a long form with lots of paperwork and at least $200 in fees. Few fill the state and federal requirements for starting a nonprofit business. Investigate which local and state government agencies regulate the formation and taxation of NGOs. If you go worldwide, some countries have rules about NGOs. Management support organizations, MSOs, and fundraising businesses are in the business of helping NGOs. Idealist.org/tools/support-orgs.html. Apply for federal income tax exemption from the IRS after you get your EIN and state incorporation. A tax-exempt organization is called a 501(c)(3) public charity by the IRS. Use IRS Form 1023. If your organization is political, you will be rejected for tax-exempt status as a 501(c)(3) organization. Apply as a 501(c)(4) social welfare organization using Form 1024. C4s are tax-exempt and operate under less restrictive rules about lobbying and other forms of advocacy, but contributions from the public are not tax-deductible. Many states have local associations of non-profit organizations that you can go to for help with your non-profit organization. Non-profits have many of the same rules as any business. You have to follow the rules or else risk getting caught and in trouble. Non-profits must withhold income taxes and pay Social Security and unemployment taxes for their employees. You might need insurance. The Postal Service offers reduced rates for NGOs. pe.usps.com/text/pub417/welcome.htm. You need a business or an organization bank account. You have to show paperwork to the bank proving you have a real NGO or business, as with a business license or state incorporation license. You need a board of directors when applying for your state incorporation. Develop a mission statement and set of rules. Start a nonprofit corporation. 4. Strictly speaking, the for-profit corporation has owners, the nonprofit corporation doesn't. The for-profit corporation exists to make money. The nonprofit does not exist to make money for its equity owners for their personal, private lives. It's supposed to be for a cause. Federal tax law makes it clear that profits generated by a nonprofit corporation cannot be used privately by the equity owners. A nonprofit corporation does not pass its income or profits to its members or shareholders, but rather, uses this money to further their purpose that benefits the community in some way. A nonprofit is entitled to try to make money and be profitable, it's just that the profits must be used to pursue its stated purpose, not benefit private parties. If a nonprofit disbands, private individuals are not legally allowed to take the assets over. Only another legal nonprofit corporation can take possession of the assets. Manage a nonprofit. Managing a nonprofit basically means that you have a clear agenda of what your nonprofit mission is and sticking to it if you want to keep your tax-exempt status and be true to what you started out to do. Your mission could be altruistic, to help others, or could be activist, to promote whatever viewpoint you believe in, all the way from right-wing defense policy to protecting your neighborhood from more residential development. But you have to stick by what you say you will do, otherwise the feds will yank your nonprofit status and you will have no integrity, so why bother if you are not being true to yourself? In designing your nonprofit, you should do it the same way you want to start a commercial business. First, write a business plan in the same way as any business does, but instead of focusing on profits, you focus on fulfilling your mission. The major points are: what is your mission statement? What are your strengths and weaknesses? Should you revise your mission? What is the plan to achieve it? Where do you want to focus your efforts? Who is your target audience, customer? Do you want to go mainstream, which means to target everybody, or stick with one group, like try to appeal to animal lovers? How will you reach them? How do you market to your audience to get them to help you out? If something doesn't work, do you have alternative ideas to reach your mission and/or make money? Along with the vision/mission statement, you will have to draft up a set of bylaws to structure the way you go about conducting your affairs. When running a nonprofit, good intentions are not enough. You need airtight, serious management there in order to get all the wheels turning in unison and get the job done. Plus you have to be serious about raising money, otherwise you will fade away just like any poorly managed for-profit business. The big fallacy is that people think that because they want to do something good for the world will open up for them, people will automatically help them and give them money. But unless you're on the ball with a good business model, it ain't gonna happen. The world needs another nonprofit like it needs a hole in the head. If you have a cause, you have to fight to bring it to the mainstream masses. You're competing with at least 500,000 other nonprofit type organizations for the attention of the people, but, in order to keep it all in perspective, all the great nonprofits have been started on a shoestring by one or two people. Just think of Alcoholics Anonymous or Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Your best bet is probably to either get people who have experience with nonprofits to sit on your board, manage your company and work alongside with you in setting it up. The biggest concern of a non-profit is probably to earn money to do its work. There are several basic ways to make money as a non-profit. Raise funds through applying for grants through public agencies, rich people, wealthy corporations, and foundations. Ask for money from the general public, charity, either through direct mail, telemarketing, TV advertising, rallies, etc. Ask corporations for money. Partnerships or sponsorships with corporations. Sometimes, non-profits convince for-profits to partner with them to help them achieve their positive social vision and get good publicity in the process. People bequeathing money in their wills. Special events like concerts, variety shows, barbecue, supper, dances, auctions, pep rally, etc. Raise funds by selling things related to your mission in order to raise money, but legally you can't sell what for-profit organizations sell and have an unfair advantage by not paying taxes like they do. T-shirts with your logo are fine, but candy bars probably aren't. Non-profits stray in two basic ways. They think that because they're a non-profit, they're good people, God will protect them and all the people who volunteer or work for them are good, honest people. The truth is that some of the greatest thefts of money are by those entrusted with money, especially when they collect it from charity like at a rally. One guy, the brother of a national TV minister, was put in charge of collecting the money at their rallies. Another guy made the accusation that this guy was asking that the 50s and 100s be separated and given to him, which he pocketed for himself. Secondly, non-profits can easily lose their way. The mission they started out with fades away as they get egotistical, impressed with themselves, focus on making money, making the scene, and any one of a number of other reasons. As a non-profit, you have to stick with the mission and keep a tight rein on the money regardless of how you earn it, both for theft from anyone involved in the organization and whether you cross the line into for-profit territory. The modern paradigm for non-profits is to be serious about your mission and about making money. Put people first. Care for the articles of your vision and use whatever technology is out there to help you with your cause. If you're selling products to make money, don't assume you can sell average or substandard stuff and people will buy because you're a non-profit there to help people. Treat it like a capitalist business. Provide great products, great delivery, and great service. This is the only way you will make enough money to succeed in your mission. You have to be business-minded in the incorporation of your vision into reality. You can't just take a kumbaya, everything will be alright attitude. You have to be disciplined about organizing your corporation enough to make your visions come true. In a nutshell, beyond the altruistic/activist mission, manage a non-profit with the same standards and skills as you manage a for-profit corporation. If you have good products that compete with for-profit corporations, rather than jeopardize your non-profit status, start a new for-profit company selling these products. I have lists of non-profit and eco-environmental organizations in some of my books. You can go to their websites, see how they operate and use their good ideas for yourself. Most successful non-profits have great websites which act as a virtual community for whatever it is that's their vision. Refer to the section about virtual communities to learn about virtual communities. All great successful non-profits are not stingy with their knowledge and information. They might sell books but not really to make money but as part of their mission to help people. They post loads of free informations on their websites and seek to make their money in other ways rather than selling the information they have that they supposedly want to help people with. Assemble a board of trustees with members who are above reproach, who hold esteemed positions in the community and don't really need the money. This way they will be less tempted to steal the money or make the organization serve their selfish ends. When you hire people to work for your non-profit, be consistent. Don't hire a self-centered capitalist MBA who's desperate for any job he can get. Look at the pool of people who volunteer in general and/or attend church regularly. Hire people that fit the mold of a non-profit corporation. Ask for volunteers in some way. Post an ad on your website and at the public library bulletin board. Of those who volunteer, find out if the good ones are looking for a job and hire them. The laws regarding employees are basically the same regardless of whether they work for a company or a non-profit organization, but the difference should be in the spirit of it. You assume the people working for you share the social vision of the non-profit. Because of this, you're supposedly all united for a common cause, so you would expect more love here than in a for-profit company, so treat them with some semblance of kindred spirits out to save the world, but don't go soft if they don't pull their weight. Make it clear that you're a serious organization and expect serious work. Sell yourself through marketing and advertising just like any for-profit company does. Be an inspired leader. For-profit companies are motivated by money. With a non-profit, you should have a noble cause that you believe in with your life. If that's not enough fodder for you to inspire the troops and the general public at large to give you money to help out, well then, perhaps you're not inspired enough to lead a non-profit. Be realistic. Don't expect to change the world. Providing good knowledge on your website for free and helping a few people here and there is about realistic as it gets. In the end, you're there to help make the world a better place to be. Never lose sight of that fact. Chapter 2. Non-profit business topics. A non-profit corporation is tax-exempt. The income a non-profit generates is not subject to either state or federal income tax if it follows all the rules, applies for exempt status and gets it. In most states, a non-profit can get an exemption from paying sales taxes on products it buys to use in its day-to-day functions. There are also exemptions from property taxes on the real estate a non-profit owns in many areas. A non-profit can legally solicit tax-deductible contributions. The ability to solicit for charitable contributions in many areas is regulated. The non-profit corporation must register as a non-profit corporation in order to have the right to go out into the public and ask people to donate money to them. The advantage to the taxpayer who makes contributions to certain types of non-profits is that he or she can get a receipt for the contribution and deduct this value on his or her income tax return. Rather than paying Uncle Sam income tax, you're essentially giving the money to a charitable cause of your choosing. A non-profit qualifies for grants, awards, etc. The government and many private corporations, organizations, and foundations like to help altruistic, community-oriented, non-profit corporations by giving them financial aid in the form of grants, awards, etc. A non-profit gets lower costs for some things like postage, advertising, publicity, etc. The Postal Service offers lower rates to non-profit corporations. Some media give free or low-cost advertising space to non-profits. The picture is not all rosy for non-profits. They have to follow a strict set of rules in order to maintain their exempt status. There is a strict requirement that non-profits cannot compete unfairly with for-profits, in essence, selling the same products but getting a tax break on the products, so non-profits can't just sell whatever they want to make money like a for-profit corporation can do. They have to sell things related to their cause. The founders of a non-profit corporation don't own it. When it is disbanded, the assets must be given to another non-profit. It's not supposed to be about making money for you but to help the community at large. Once you become a tax-exempt non-profit corporation, you cannot take sides in political issues. You have to be, as they call it, bipartisan. Non-profits are not allowed to contribute to political campaigns, but there is a loophole in the form of political action committees, PACs, which are non-profit corporations that contribute to political campaigns as their sole purpose. Some non-profits start a separate PAC to promote their political cause. As a non-profit, as opposed to a private for-profit company, your tax records become public domain, available to anyone who wants to scrutinize you. A non-profit is subject to 3 different types of laws, each with its own independent set of rules. State corporation laws, how to start and run a non-profit. State charitable solicitation laws. There are laws in place to monitor non-profits that solicit donations for their altruistic cause to ensure that they don't keep most of it themselves. Federal tax laws, which determine whether you qualify for tax-exempt status or not. The best way to protect yourself legally with a non-profit is to go in with the right intention, to do something to help someone, learn about the laws and follow them, keep good records and cooperate fully with the government administrators. Start a community foundation to keep it simple. There is a lot of bureaucratic government paperwork involved with starting a non-profit organization. If you have a simple, straightforward mission, you could start a community foundation and accept donations legally without much paperwork involved. If you have a simple idea, you could approach existing big non-profit corporations and ask them to help set you up as another project that they do. This requires some tact on your part because they're all settled in. They generally don't want new things to upset their routine even though they claim to exist to do good. I learned the truth when I went around. A lot of non-profit people are as phony as a $3 bill. They're in it for themselves. The bottom line is that there is a real need that needs to be fulfilled. idealist.org/if/i/en/faq/70-9/21-74 givingcircles.org givingforum.org tides.org helps nonprofits in San Francisco. Lobbying and political campaigning. Lobbying is defined as supporting particular legislation, while political campaigning is considered to be the partisan support of a particular candidate for office. If a charitable nonprofit corporation lobbies, which is to put out partisan information in an attempt to influence public opinion on an issue of legislation, this is not allowed and tax-exempt status will be revoked. There are two tests to determine the legal amount of lobbying a nonprofit can do. The substantial part test: no more than 15% of the organization's expenditures can be for lobbying. The expenditures test: an organization is allowed to spend 20% of its first $500,000 on exempt purpose expenditures, 15% of the next $500,000, 10% of the next $1 million and 5% of the rest to a maximum of $1 million on lobbying. For the expenditures test, the nonprofit must file IRS Form 5768 and use Part VIA of Schedule A, Form 990 to figure the limits. Private foundations under Section 501, c. 3, are not permitted to lobby at all. If you are a nonprofit corporation exempt under any provision other than Section 501, c. 3, you are free to lobby. One way Section 501, c. 3, corporations get around the lobbying requirement is to form a non-charitable nonprofit corporation which does its lobbying for it. Charitable nonprofits cannot do any political campaigning. Non-charitable nonprofits can do limited campaigning. Special nonprofits called political action committees, PACs, can be formed solely to do political campaigning. Violation of IRS rules can result in fines, taxes assessed on the particular situation, or a loss of tax-exempt status. Independent sector. 888-860-8118 independentsector.org/cl/table_of_contents_of_book.html. Book the Nonprofit Lobbying Guide. Chapter 3. Create a nonprofit website. Nonprofits need a website. As a nonprofit organization, you should use the internet to set up a website where you can promote your agenda and ask for donations. The process is virtually the same as with a for-profit website, as I describe elsewhere in this book. Set up an interesting website and do what you can short of spamming to get the word out that you exist. There are a few website hosting services and website builders that specialize in nonprofit organizations. Use the internet to search out organizations, foundations, corporations, and prominent people who you can solicit to give you funds. Some non-fit business books and websites describe the many different ways you could conceivably raise funds, often getting aid from a corporation in exchange from some kind of indirect advertising for them. Make your website educational. Give your visitors a good website. You have to aggressively look for viewers to your website. Build relationships with website visitors. Build a community website as opposed to one where you're just soliciting for money. In order for people to give you money, you have to make your website make them feel good. Connect at an emotional level. Brand your website with a cool name and a clear nonprofit message. Have a clear vision of what you will use your website presence for. It's about your mission, not selling so much stuff that your website looks like a mall. Marketing is the same as with capitalist ventures, use on and offline media. If you're an activist group, help people stand up for their rights and take their power back. Stand behind your cause. Offer a free email newsletter about the happenings in your field. Try number 361.706, number 658.048.054 or HD 62.6 and HF 5415 at the library for books about the business aspect of nonprofit organizations. Websites to help nonprofits start a website. Blackbaud.com, Nonprofit Consultants. CARE4FREE.com, free website hosting. Championsofphilanthropy.com. charityconsultants.co.uk. Communitiesite.com, get ideas for your website from this well-planned site. Communicopia.net, website builders. ephilanthropy.org. ephilanthropyfoundation.org. Essential.org, ISP that caters to nonprofits who want to start a website. FDNcenter.org, service provider, possibly get mailing list of donors. frandc.co.uk, service provider, possibly get mailing list of donors. guidastar.org. hjcnewmedia.com, build websites for nonprofits. getactive.com, software to build a community website. impactonline.org, ISP that caters to nonprofits who want to start a website. infowebservices.com. internet-fundraising.com. internet-prospector.org, nonprofit search engine. jmgsolutions.com, service provider, possibly get mailing list of donors. itresourcecenter.org. iwave.com, service provider, possibly get mailing list of donors. Kintera.com, application service provider. livehelper.com, get live chat. localvoice.com, service provider. netaid.org. netcentives.com. networkforgood.com. nonprofitlearning.com. nonprofitmatrix.com, nonprofit website building. organic.com, sets up websites for nonprofits. pewinternet.org. pgcalc.com, planned giving. prospectinfo.com, service provider, possibly get mailing list of donors. ptec.com, planned giving. serviceleader.org. serviceleader.org/vv, virtual volunteers who might help you. texoup.org. tgtam.com, service provider, possibly get mailing list of donors. thinkcs.org, consultants. thinkcofit.com/webconf/host sites, website hosting. vervos.com. wealthid.com, service provider, possibly get mailing list of donors. webstoreamerica.com. web-wrights.com. Nonprofit use the internet websites. strategictechnology.net, strategic technology. npower.org. 1nw.org/bin/page.cfm/sccid/7,1/ Northeast Assessment and Planning Tools. linkproject.org/toolkit/strategies, link project. artswire.org/spiders/workshops/agenda planning.html, training on technology planning. newyorkfa.org, New York Foundation for the Arts Technology Planning Curriculum. spidersehool.org/workshops. coyotecom.com/online.html, nonprofit use of the Internet. compasspoint.org/e-nonprofit, the e-nonprofit, a guide to ASPs, Internet services, and online software.